tonight's guest is a book that is available Kindle Unlimited. I absolutely love this book. I feel like it was under 26 pages. It was well worth the read. If you need a book that is going to make you be grateful for your life and how things are going, I promise you, this is the book that will do it for you. This was a book that made me realize people oftentimes just want a person to blame. When things go wrong, it is easy to say, well, you know what? It's your fault. That movie inspired them to go out and do whatever. Oh, it's your fault because you wrote this book. Some person that clearly should have been on medication didn't take their effing meds today. And you know what? We found your book in their car. So we think that your book motivated them to decide that they were going to go to Walmart, purchase the biggest shotgun that they could. And when they decided to shoot up the library, we think your book motivated them to do it. In the culture that we are in society, cancel culture, people will really get you canceled. People will really F up your money off the strength of, listen, it's easy to blame you. Because chances are when people go and decide to unalive a whole library of people, the chances of them staying alive and not unaliving themselves so that the police can arrest them and, make sure that they get charged as guilty, very slim. So the remaining person that's still alive is typically the person who inspired or influenced them. And the person who influenced them, their lives end up ruined forever. It was insane reading this book. It starts off with a talk show host interviewing this author, and the author has a book that was extremely successful. It stirred up a lot of controversy, a lot of conversation. The problem is when it was literally found at the location of a horrific tragedy that occurred, now he's blamed and he's responsible. The book gets pulled from the shelves. All these months of work that this author put in get pulled entirely. He gets backdoored and snaked by his friend who's like, oh, well, you know what? I heard that you were working on a book, but I actually wrote a similar book and I feel like you stole my idea. So I'm going to run to the tabloids and tell everyone, and I'm also going to hit you with a lawsuit while you're at your lowest point already. This book just showed you don't know who you can trust. You don't know who you should be talking to about things. Have a therapist on standby at all times. Have a good lawyer on standby at all times. Have your copyright documents ready at all times because you never know when you are going to get blamed for something, especially if you are a creative. Now, on the other end, as far as being a talk show host, I know that with social media, we have a lot of content creators that like to discuss other situations that you see happening in actors and actresses' lives or in the lives of rappers and comedians and things. You even have to be careful in that lane because you'll be feeling like you're on top of the world. But what happens when you sign a contract and you're like on the radio and the radio's like, yeah, we're so happy you're here. We're going to give you season after season after season. Your face is going to be on the front of everything, basically Wendy Williams style. What happens when after a bunch of seasons, they're like, yeah, so we're kind of tired of you and we're just going to cancel you? Do you know what that mentally does to a person when their entire existence and their entire sense of importance comes from, I have been showcased in certain scenes and certain lights, I get certain invitations. If I'm no longer relevant because I'm not on this show anymore, what the hell am I supposed to do? I can't say too much because the book was only 26 pages. It was my first time reading a book by this author. I absolutely adored it. The author is on Instagram. I reached out to him underneath one of his posts and I was like, I absolutely loved your book. And he was super cool. He responded to me. He wasn't one of those authors that ignored me and acted like he was too Hollywood to interact. He has a bunch of other books on Amazon as well. Drop a comment below and let me know if you've already read this short story. And if you've read other books by this author, let me know what the titles were in the comments.